I'm gonna go to the cloud. All right. So we're recording now, but anything, I mean, I'm editing, chopping a video up like you do, because I see you do a lot of that. Okay. All right. So it's Elijah, and I'm actually back with the helpful trucker. And I was going through YouTube and I was looking through truck drivers that are offering information. And also, this channel is about profiling truck drivers in America. And I came across the helpful trucker, and he was giving out so much advice on how to get your CDL, tips about school. Is school worth it? He was just giving out a slew of positivity and information. So I reached out to the brother, and guess what? He's on the show now. So I just want to get into the point where what made you start getting on YouTube and giving out positive advice to truck drivers? What made you start?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say I appreciate you for inviting me on, bro. Absolutely, I appreciate you taking time to talk with me, and setting aside other things that got to be done in your life for us to chat and politics like this. So I appreciate you, man. Absolutely, and you're doing big things as well. I've noticed that as well. So
Thank
definitely
you.
congratulations and more power to you. Um, man, as far as that question that you just asked me, I've always been a person that has had or felt like they needed some sort of creative outlet. When I was young, probably like a lot of people, when I was young, I used to be a part of a rap group. I used to write lyrics, you know what I'm saying? And it was deeply gratifying. It really was, you know what I'm saying? Even though my music that I was writing then didn't have no message to it, didn't have no positivity to it, didn't have anything like that to it, it was still fulfilling to just create something. You know what I'm saying? To just create something, and then to be able to go around and listen to it. You know what I mean? It was always a gratifying experience. And when I kind of discovered, you could say, the YouTube platform, because all of this stuff is still fairly new. YouTube,
That's
Facebook,
true.
social media sites, all that stuff is still fairly new. When I guess you could say, discovered YouTube, it seemed to allow me to scratch that same creative itch, man, to just be able to record, to put your energy out on video, and then have another person that you ain't never seen, don't know them, never would have been able to interact with them, to be able to put that on video, and then for them to be able to watch your video on the other end and receive the energy that you put into the video. It was tremendous. And when I got my first taste of that, it was just like, wow, this is pretty cool, man. So it was just something that I was just drawn to. It really was.
I see. Now tell me this: what made you initially get into trucking as a field?
Yeah. Well, my pop. Well, let me go back to my first truck driving job.
Okay.
I didn't have. We're talking about maybe 2012, 2011, 2013, somewhere around that area. So I didn't have a job, right? I was in
Okay.
between jobs, and I was looking for a job, and I'm like, okay, well, what is it that I actually enjoy doing, right? I never been to college, right? I don't have a degree or anything like that. So I thought, I was like, I love driving. I've always loved driving. I've always been a wheel man, right? My
Right.
man was telling me the other day, he was like, yo, man, you remember when we pulled that caper back in the day and you was the one driving, da 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 da. And I'm like, hey, I always was the wheel man, huh? but but yeah, I looked, and I said, you know what, I like driving. I like driving. And so I looked right on Craigslist then, and found a driving job right up the street from me, 5 miles away. At the time, I'm right in the middle of a divorce, and my two children, as a result of my first marriage, are with me at this time, going through this divorce as well. They're not staying with their mother; they live with me after we got divorced. So I
Okay.
needed something that was close to the house. I needed something that had the right kind of hours that would allow me to be able to drop my children off, pick them up from school, and all of that good stuff. And I came across a job up the street, driving a straight truck, a short truck, like a 26-foot flatbed.
Right.
Did that for a few years, and that was cool, because it was just driving. It wasn't stressful at all. And then, hang on one second, Maurice,
Yeah,
open
that's
the phone.
fine.
Here's my little man right here beside me.
Okay.
But yeah, then maybe had that job maybe 3 years, and then my dad, he has Parkinson's, and his Parkinson's started to get a little bit worse. And then one day he came to me, he was like, "Look, man, I need you to get your CDL, because I'm probably gonna have to get out of the truck." And I went to CDL school, got my license. I was like, Pop, do I really need to go to CDL school? You could just teach me how to drive. He was like, Nah, I don't think I can teach you all the stuff you need to know to pass your CDL test. So went to CDL school, got my CDL, came back to work at my job the very next day.
Okay.
They told me, they said the very next day they called all of the drivers in. Now we got one short truck driver, which is me, and about 15, 18 wheeler drivers, all drive for the company. So he calls everybody in the very next morning. He says, listen, we got a problem. We done lost our DOT number. We can't run nothing right now. Okay. So he was like, for the next couple of weeks, we got to go around and get all of these trailers straight. And I'll just pay you guys, I'll pay you something. And he said, Maurice, this don't have to do nothing with you because you're the one that's driving the short truck, and that's the truck that we don't have no problems with. So he said, you can stick around if you want to. I said, well, I just actually passed my CDL test yesterday. He said, you did? I said, yeah. And he already knew my dad. My dad was coming over there to pick
Right,
up.
right.
So he was
Hmm.
like, yo, man, you can go ahead and hop in the truck with your dad if you want to. And that transition from that job worked out real smooth. I got in the truck with my dad, and from then I've been driving for my father.
Man, see, that's crazy how you added another skill under your belt, transition you, right when you needed it. Essentially, I mean, you
Absolutely.
come in the next day and then they're like,
100%.
hey man, we lost our DOT number.
Yep.
You just bettering yourself just immediately, with the law of with reaping and sowing. So you reap when you went to the or you sow when you went to go get the CDL, and
Yep.
then now, I mean, now you're reaping it. But
Yep.
that's just how the universe works. I feel like you
Yep.
was just like, hey, I need to get a better skill. I got this situation going on, and most people are not proactive, and I think that's the biggest fault to people when they say, man, I lost my job. It's like, well, were you doing anything on the side to better yourself, add a skill or add an additional income stream, some type of side hustle,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
always got to have a side
Absolutely.
hustle. So you've been driving class A for how long? Because I know
Four and a,
you was driving B, but how long you been driving class A?
4.5 years. I got my Class A in April 2016. So
Okay.
April 2021 will be 5 years.
So now that you went to trucking school, and I know you giving out plenty of advice on how to pass, your CDL and what tips, what would you tell the driver as far as, I wanted to get into the mindset. So it's one thing to tell them, hey, when you go, you really need to pass this part, you really need to check this. But what is the mindset that the person should have when they're approaching CDL school? And what mindset should they have when they're in that classroom? They have an instructor, because you hear different stories. Some people say, hey man, this school was great. Then you have some people say, man, they really was just trying to get me out the door. I told them I wanted to drive a manual. They only had automatics at the school, so now I got this restriction. So what advice do you give them on the mindset and what to look out for when selecting the school?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, actually. And as you ask that, I'm just thinking, it's nobody's job to give you what you asked for, but it is your job to get what you came
This
for, right?
is true. This is
So if I got a little one in school that's coming home every day and she's not learning what she feels like she needs to learn in school, I'm not going to give her the permission to be able to blame it on the teacher because,
mm,
like okay, theoretically the teacher's supposed to teach you what
this
you
is
need to
true.
know, but if she don't, what you gonna do? Sit back and complain? You get what I'm
Right,
saying? Like that don't work in regular school, and it don't work in
right,
CDL school either. You know what I mean? So
right.
you shelling out the cash for the school in most cases. I know I did. And so it's like like ask questions. That's the first thing. I'm not a person that is afraid to say, hold on, stop the presses. I don't understand. And then they
Right,
explain it to me, and then me to say, hold on, I know I'm holding up everybody else, but I still don't understand. I need you to explain it to me again, right?
right,
If
right,
I'm
right.
paying you, then I feel like I got permission to do you like that all day. Not out of spite or anything, but if I truly
Right.
don't understand, I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna ask you, and we can break it down. I'm gonna ask you a different way until I understand. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing, or one thing I would say when you're dealing with a CDL school is obviously don't be afraid to ask questions. That's from the interview process. Like you paying them. So when you talking
Right,
to a CDL school, don't be afraid to interview the heck out of them the same way
right,
a company hiring you would interview you. You know what I'm saying? Don't
right.
be afraid to ask them, yo, what's your pass rate? How many students are you that's coming in your CDL school are actually passing? Don't be afraid to talk to the students that are on the yard to find out, okay, yo, you got 5 people over here that have been in this school for the last 5 months. Something is wrong. with this picture, right? So, don't be afraid to ask questions, obviously, in CDL school. Um, be a diligent learner, right? I talked about this on the video before. In my CDL school, we had a crowd of people that was on it every single day. Every single day, they drilling, they in front of each other, they reading off the paper. This one is checking to make sure he got the paper right, and that one then they do it in another way. And these one, you got 4 or 5 of them, and they going from station to station on the yard. You know what I'm saying, drilling each other. And then you got another group of people that's standing over to the side talking about what club they went to Saturday. You know what I'm saying? That's how it
Mm,
was in my school. And it's like, don't be that group of people that's not focused. You there in CDL school for one reason. You paid your money. It's not the school's responsibility to make sure that you get your CDL and that you pass your test and that you learn what you need to learn. It's your responsibility to do that. So you got to be super diligent on making sure you get the information that you need when you're in school. And the third thing I guess would be spend as much, just be willing to go out of your way. Spend as much time as you need to. If an instructor, if you need to ask them to stay behind late, be willing to do that. If you need to come for a couple extra weekends or stay late in the evening, on the weekend, or whatever you have to do, go ahead and get it done. When I got done at the end of my CDL course, my part-time CDL course, there were literally people that was like, I'm not ready to take the test. And so they were willing to switch out and put themselves back 3 or 4 weeks on the test just so they could get more time behind the wheel. You know what I mean? So
see.
take that experience seriously. You are paying for it. And one last thing, now
Mhm.
ain't the time to fail a CDL test. Now is not the time to fail a CDL test. Not
Right.
with the pandemic. Not with the pan. You fail a CDL test now. Who knows when you're gonna get back in there to get retested?
That's right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I would definitely say all of that to the individual that was looking at going to CDL school.
Man, you hit a key point because I forgot about the social distancing and the restrictions in the school. So you're right, because before it was a free for all. Like you could just get on the phone or get on the internet and just say, "Hey, y'all having classes? Yeah, come on down." But now it's not like that anymore. So what else? What other changes have you seen the pandemic affect trucking? Because I know about the ELDs and changes to the working hours, but what other changes have you seen that has impacted you personally, maybe?
Not a lot that have
Not,
impacted me personally.
mhm.
I don't go over 100 air miles away from
Okay.
home base, so I don't
Okay.
deal with ELD. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And while I'm a local driver that gets home every evening, I do keep a record of where I go because we are supposed to.
Right.
We don't have to do logbook or none of that stuff. Well, I ain't worried about hours of service either. I mean, I'm always within my hours of service, but it's not a thing where I got to constantly monitor like an old OTR
Right.
guy or a regional guy. So those hours of service changes that happened in 2020 to give truckers more leeway to be able to run, those didn't really impact me. Biggest change that I've seen, just speaking specifically about the pandemic, is when everything shut down. The roads was lovely, bro. The roads was lovely. I live 30 miles east of Richmond, right off
Okay.
of Highway Interstate 64, which heads all the way out to Virginia Beach, and you got to go through the Norfolk Tunnel. The
Okay.
Norfolk Tunnel is never not backed up. When they
Right.
shut the interstate down, when everything was shut down, you could go through the Norfolk Tunnel at 12 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening, and it was a ghost town. It was beautiful, bro. It was beautiful. But I mean, I noticed that change in 2020. But other than that,
Right.
man, no, really no significant
Nothing.
changes in the 4.5 years. Other than hours of service changes, nothing really significant other than that.
Okay, all right, man. I know, and I know as a truck driver, if you're going through that tunnel, you're like, man, this is heaven.
Yeah, this is heaven.
This is heaven, right? I mean, this is heaven. Now, I was
Absolutely.
on your YouTube page and I know that you're doing the chips, you're hauling the wood chips. And most people, if they was running, they probably would say, I'm gonna keep this load to myself, secret to myself. This is my hustle right here. I'm not gonna reveal it all. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'll give you an idea, but you put it out there like, hey, I'm hauling these mulch wood chips. This is what I'm doing. So you're very transparent, with the way that you're even earning your money as an owner and operator. So tell me, why do you feel necessary to disclose that information? Because most people, you know how guys are. Like, if I women are not like that. If women see a sale, they'll say, "Hey girl, where'd you get that pocketbook from?" Hey, Target on this street. But men, if you bought the pair of Air Jordans, hey man, what website you got that from? I don't even remember. My girl bought the shoes. But you're revealing it. Like, you're saying, hey man, this is what I'm doing right now. So why be so transparent about what you're doing?
I'm smiling while you saying this right now, man, because I've often found myself. You all right? I've often found myself saying so many times, I'm just too ignorant to know what not to say.
What
And
not
I
to
ain't even
say.
lying about that, bro. I'm not
Right.
even lying about that, man. I just got me a CB radio the other day. I might have told you already. And the handle that I picked for myself is don't know nothing. That's the
Don't know
handle that I
nothing.
don't know
Okay.
nothing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it's like, yo, I mean, I honestly feel that way about myself, man. And a lot of conversations, that's a double-edged sword in my life, man.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of conversations, I've actually found myself saying that, not just on my YouTube channel. It's like, man, I don't need it, baby. I'm like, man, I'm too ignorant sometimes to not know what not to talk about. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I find myself saying stuff that other people will be like, sometimes it gets looked at as boldness. Sometimes the
Right.
person say, man, you ain't scared to put it out there. And I'm
Right.
like, I don't know if I see it as boldness or not. I'm sharing something with a person and I'm not, my mind just don't do too good at working at censoring the content. It just
Okay.
my brain just really don't work like that. And I know I probably should be better at censoring my content because everybody ain't out here to just listen and learn. Some people out here to listen and learn and then capitalize on what you put
This
out there,
is
and you got to
true.
protect
Right.
yourself from that. So I do
Right.
get
Right.
that, but I guess that kind of goes back to the positive thinking thing. You know what I mean? It's like, I was in sales a long time ago, and my supervisor that trained me, he had no problem at all telling you all of the secrets of how he would go in a house and sell a $2,000 vacuum cleaner to a person. And he would tell you after he told you, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing because chances are you're not going to do it anyway. You know what I mean?
It's
So,
true. This is
um,
true.
I mean, that's kind of how I see that, man. I just my desire is to put it out there to actually help a person. I know that there's not a lot of people out there speaking just from a local perspective, right? And
Right.
I know that a lot of people that are just coming into the trucking game don't want to necessarily do OTR. They want to do local, but there are a lot
Right.
of misconceptions out there about local. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I guess a lot of it comes from that, but the biggest portion of it honestly does come from I'm ignorant and I don't know sometimes what I shouldn't say. You know what I mean? I got to
Right.
be honest about that. I got to be transparent about that.
Well, I can say that I definitely believe that you have an abundance mindset. And I see on your channel, you also have videos about the law of attraction. So,
Mhm.
with that being said, how do you feel like having an abundance mindset and the law of attraction? How do you think that has impacted you as a driver? Like,
I,
how do you think that benefits you as a driver?
I think I think that affects everything. I think how you think and how you feel, more importantly, I think that affects everything. You know what I mean? Every action that you take and it affects what the world gives you back. So, your attitude towards life is gonna affect your relationship with your wife. It's gonna affect your relationship with your children. It's gonna affect your relationship with your job. You know what I mean? Um, my son passed away 5 years ago, back in 2015, totally unexpectedly, right? And I came out of that event feeling like, okay, if I want to get a new job, right? If I'm not satisfied with the amount of money that I make in my life, I can easily say, you know what, I'm going to get a new job, and it don't matter how I feel. I'm going to get a new job. I'm going to make some more money, and I'm not gonna allow myself to feel better about my situation until I get that thing done, until I go out and get that job, until I actually improve my income, until I buy the new house, right? I'm not gonna feel better about my situation until then. But when my son passed away, man, I realized that sometimes you can't have what you want, right? And
Mm,
so in the situation of wanting a better life, it don't matter how I feel. I can just go out there and create a better life for myself and get a new job and get a new house. But if the thing that you want is something that you can't have, like a continued relationship with somebody that just passed away, then no amount of action that you put towards achieving that thing is going to help you get that end goal. I can go out and work my butt off to get a new job, but I can't go out and work my butt off to continue the relationship with my son that just passed away. If I want to manage that situation, I got to approach it differently. So instead of trying to change the thing, then your best bet in that situation is to change your perspective of the thing that you're looking at. And that's what I came out of that event with. And so I feel like if a person can manage in that situation, then you should be able to manage in other. You should be able to, if you can control your emotions in that situation where you lose a loved one, you know what I'm saying, or you're separated from something that you love dearly, you can manage your emotions in that situation to help you get to the peace of mind that you need to be able to live life happily after that. Then again, you realize that maybe my happiness is not in accomplishing the thing, because that's just a never ending circle, right? I'm unhappy because I don't have the job that I want, and I say I'm going to go out and work hard to try to get the job that I want, and then I get the job that I want, and now I'm happy just for a little while until I see the house that I want, and now I'm unhappy again. It's like I'm not going to be happy until I get the house that I want, and now I'm happy for a little while. So that happiness thing is kind of it's fleeting if you don't know, if you put your happiness in the accomplishment or the attainment of the thing. Sometimes the attainment of the thing is not possible, and in the situation of a loved one dying, attainment of the thing is you got to approach it from a different perspective. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
Well, I remember us talking. You shared that with me, and I didn't know if you was going to share that on on the on this interview. Now, definitely sorry to hear that again, man, because I can only imagine how that could feel. I wouldn't know. Were you driving at refresh my memory? Were you driving at the time when your son passed away? Were you a truck driver? That's what I was trying to say. Were
I
you a
wasn't a
truck
Class
driver?
A driver. I was working at that other job that I was telling
You
you
was
about before I started
you was
working with my
straight
daddy.
truck. You was
Yep,
straight truck at that time.
yep.
So how much time did you take off? Because
2 days,
I'm always how long?
2 days.
Okay, right. Because I'm always wondering about the mind state of a person, the mental state of a person. If they had a loved one pass away, then coping and going back to work. Like how did you move past it mentally to the point where you could focus on your duties at work?
Yeah, it was a lot to it, man. It was a
Right.
lot to it. And a lot of it had to do with just beliefs and perspective and perception. I changed my relationship with loss.
Mm.
Loss. I changed my relationship with loss. You know what I mean? And I started to believe that it's like the appearance of loss is there sometimes, but I don't necessarily believe that the loss is actually there. The appearance of loss may be there, but the loss isn't actually there. You know what I mean? And again, it's a whole thing. It's a belief thing. I mean, I just don't believe that my loved one went anywhere.
Mm.
So that helps me out a
Okay.
whole lot. And again, that's a whole other subject. But
No one
I
is
just I don't believe that my loved one went off to another dimension. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it that way. You know what I'm saying? I still feel him. I believe that he is still focused here, but sometimes I don't allow myself to be able to feel him or to hear him. It's like a radio station. The signal is always being broadcast on 107.9. But if you got your radio station tuned to 98.7, you just won't hear it. So the signal is still being broadcast, but it's just a matter of where I am frequency wise, or whether I can hear it or feel it or not. And sometimes I can feel it and sometimes I can't. But I'm aware of it now enough to the point where when I don't feel it, I don't feel like he's not there. I
right.
feel like I'm not there. So
Right.
him not being there ain't in my control. Me not being there is in my control.
I see exactly what you're saying, and that's a definitely interesting perspective to have. That's an interesting perspective to have, man. We're gonna have to talk about that more off camera,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So tell me, owner operator versus company driver, what do you think? Like, I mean, I know that you're more in the owner operator type industry now, but company driver, pros and cons. What do you tell a new guy just starting out, or what do you tell somebody? What's advice do you give them?
Yeah, well, it's definitely more than one school of thought on that subject. There are people. I've always been a person that I cherished my independence, and I've
Okay.
always been a person that I acknowledge this about myself. I have compliance issues.
Okay.
I don't want to hear
Right.
that
Right. Right.
shit. Essentially, I mean that's just how I've always been, and so
Right.
that to me is why I lean a little bit more towards the owner operator side of things. Um, and being and I'm driving for my pop right now, but I'm in the act of getting my own truck
Right. Right.
because it's the same thing. I hear people say, hey man, if you're making good money where you are right now, you know what I mean, driving your pop's truck, you might want to stay there, you know what I mean? But I cherish my independence. I
Right.
really do. I cherish my independence. I always have. So, I was talking to my brother yesterday, which is an owner operator, been an operator for 20 years, and he was telling me, he was like, man, sometimes I'm in a space where I'm envious of those guys that are at UPS. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And they got good paying jobs, and they got, you know what I
Right.
mean, all of the
Right.
perks of a good paying job. He's like, I'm envious of those guys sometimes. So I mean, to each his own. To each his own.
Right.
I know me personally, like I said, and I'm 45 years old now. I've probably had 5 years or less worth of jobs in my life, W-2 jobs where I'm working for somebody else. I
Well,
ain't
you
found
like,
one yet that
okay,
made me
yeah.
happy. I ain't found one yet that made me happy. So I just don't think I don't think I would be happy even on a good paying job just
Right.
because like I said, I got compliance issues. I want to do things my own way. And it ain't that I want to slack off, but the last job that I had, they didn't want no parts of my creativity. They wanted me to show up, do what they said to do when they said to do it, and then I could go home when they said to go home. That has never went over well with me.
Well, you know what I found is that, like, and this might be some advice that we can give out to the younger people, is that if you're an individual like you, because I'm also like that, is that if you're gonna go the job route, you really need to aim for a company that is growing. Because if that company is growing, they're looking for ideas.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
if it's a new industry, let's say like TikTok, let's say if you could have got a job at TikTok, they would have cherished you because they would have
It's
said,
the
"Hey man, do you have
creativity.
right? Do you have an idea for this? Do you have? Oh, hey, I got an idea because the company is growing." But what happens is if you work for a company that's been established for a long time, like let's say Honda, they're not taking no risks at that point. They're gonna say, "Hey, we're bringing out this new Honda Accord." And you might say, "Hey, maybe you should think about this feature." No, 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 no. We've been dropping these Honda Accords for the last 40 years, and this is the way we've done it, and we'll always do it like this. So people like me and you, we don't fit in environments where people are just trying to manage the company. Like we're just not trying to bankrupt it. We're just gonna maintain the profit. But and that's how new companies come along, like Tesla, who come along, and now it's like, oh, this is a problem now in the industry. We got these
Yeah,
electric cars, and you trying to tell me Ford couldn't have done this?
yeah,
Yes, they had the money to do it.
yeah.
They had the money to do it. Lexus, all these companies had the money to do it, and they told him he was crazy. But it takes a creative person. So really, with you, you really have to gun for a company that is growing because
Makes sense.
they respect and cherish people like us. But if you go to a regular Fortune 500, no, no, they're gonna kick you out. They're gonna tell you, "Hey man, what's
We
wrong
don't
with you?
we
You
don't we
need."
don't we don't want to hear all those ideas,
Right,
man.
right.
We
You're
don't
a
want to
robot.
hear
You are
that.
paid
Yeah,
to be a robot.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good
So
point.
the same thing. Yeah, man. So now that's the great advice that I have received recently. So tell me this: three qualities that you think it takes to be a successful truck driver. Just three qualities that you say, hey, you know what? If you have these three qualities, I think you'll make it in this industry.
Yeah. I mean, I think you obviously need to be a hard worker, right?
Mhm.
I think you need to be sharp mentally, and I think you need to be resourceful,
Mm.
right? I think I heard Tony Robbins say it's not resources, it's resourcefulness. It's not what you
Mm.
have, it's what do you have the ability to get done what you're trying to get done. You know what I mean? And in trucking, when things happen on the road, when things happen when you out and about, of course, you need to be resourceful enough to be able to get it straight, especially as an owner operator. You need to, because you don't have the ability to just call somebody and say, hey, come pick the truck off the side of the road, or just rent me another one and I'm gonna keep on moving. So you really gotta be creative with how you figure stuff out. So it definitely is about resourcefulness as an owner operator. And again, you need to be willing to work hard. I learned in sales that there's two times to work hard. One is when nothing is going right, because you need to come out of that slump, and then the other
Right.
time is when everything is going right, right. So that
Right.
means like work hard all the times when things ain't going right and when things are going great, right. So you absolutely need to be a hard worker, and you need to be smart. Yo, I didn't realize, man, just as far as understanding diesel motors and a diesel engine, I've been watching this guy on YouTube, just in trying to understand trucks and how to maintain them and all of that good stuff. I've been watching this guy called Adept 8. Have you ever heard of him before on YouTube?
Hey, no, I
Yeah,
haven't heard
yeah.
of him.
He's a diesel mechanic. He's a cat
Okay.
diesel mechanic. And this actually goes into one of the other questions that I think you're going to ask, which is some of the biggest myths about truckers, right?
That was the
So I
next one.
didn't realize I didn't realize how smart a trucker had to be. I
Mhm.
always saw truckers, I don't know why. I don't know why, but I always saw truckers kind of like Rocky, right? Like they're strong,
Okay.
brute force, but not that much going on up here.
Right.
Not that bright up here. For some reason, that's always how I saw truckers and people in the trucking industry.
Right.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
Right.
Nothing could be further from the truth. You need to be sharp, as far as I'm concerned, if you're gonna be in the trucking industry, and you need to be even sharper if you're gonna profit in the trucking industry. And that's no matter what you're gonna do, whether you're gonna be a dispatcher, whether you're gonna be a trainer, whether you're gonna be a driver, whether you're gonna be whatever you're gonna be, you need to be sharp to keep up with everything that's going on. I was talking to my the yard guy that manages the yard at one of the places that I used to pull out of one day, and I was talking to him, and he was letting me know he was talking about a trailer that was sitting on the side, and he was letting me know that he knew that the trailer had hadn't either had been moved or hadn't been moved based on where the wheels were and a couple other things. And I'm like, yo, you checking out all of that stuff around here?
Mm.
He man, I check out everything.
Mm.
Just incredibly sharp and aware, like on another level type of thing, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would say those are definitely three of the biggest things right there, man. You gotta be sharp, smart, hard worker, definitely a hard worker, and you need to be resourceful.
Well, that did segue into the next question. So when I was going to ask, well, pretty much I was going to ask you, what do you think is the common myth that needs to be debunked about the truck driving industry? And you kind of segued in there and you said, hey, I always thought truck drivers were just not that intelligent and they just knew how to drive and that was it.
Yep.
So you're talking about you're well not talking about, but you're saying that, hey man, that's not even the case. If you're
Nope.
not even an intelligent truck driver, you're not gonna last that long in this industry.
Nope. Totally agree.
And I think, and I believe you because you're the second driver that I talked to that actually had a background in sales, number one, because we both know that, and I've been in sales. You're not at the top or in the top three or the top five if you're not an intelligent salesperson.
Yep.
You have to know. Number one, you got to know your product. Number two, you got to know how to understand and read people and what their wants and desires are. And
Hmm.
then you got to know how to close them, right?
Yep.
You gotta ask for the sale. So with that being said, I've come across more truck drivers that are very intelligent, that are very knowledgeable. And so tell me this, going from commission or salary plus commission to driving a truck, what kind of transition has that been? Because I'm a commission type guy. Like my mind is motivated by commission. Like, okay, if I close this many, I'll make this amount. But with you, now having that mindset and then going into the truck, there's not necessarily a commission, but there is, a settlement, or the miles that you're driving or the percentage of the load. So is your mind wrapped around? Because I'm trying to figure out how does your mind transition to, okay, I'm getting this commit. I can earn, X amount of dollars if I close this many people. But with driving, you're not closing people. You're delivering low. So how does the mindset switch for you to have that success in this industry too?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. The transition, the space between those two places is it's less space there when it comes to the work that I do for my dad, right?
Okay.
Because I get paid a percentage of what my truck does. So I'm not
Mhm.
closing people, but it is the same philosophy: no
Mhm.
working, no eating, right? It is the same
Right.
thing, which
Right.
which 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 I got in sales, right? Um, I've done snow plowing for a company
Okay.
called Curtis Contracting up the street as well. They're hiring right now. They pay $50 an hour. Half of the shifts that they call us out for when we go out, we just sitting there on standby for 12 hours. It's the
Okay.
weirdest. That's the weirdest thing in the world to me, bro. To just get $600 for just sitting there. I'm cool with it. I'll take it, but I'm used to working for mine. And if some results ain't happening, then there's no paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's a bit of a weird thing. I can get
Right.
used to it though. I can get used to it though. But it is a bit of a difference, even in how I get paid with my dad. I've always felt that my income is more capped in trucking, what I
Mm.
do now, than it was in sales.
In the
You know what I'm
sales.
saying? Yeah, yeah, yeah. In sales, man, you wanna scale up. I mean, you double your sales force, you can double your income. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I've heard several times in the trucking industry from several veterans that sometimes it ain't that easy to increase your money in trucking. Sometimes you just got to roll with what's available. And that's
Mm.
because as a truck driver, you're not in control of the freight. If the person that's in control of the freight pull a switch up on you or pull a rate change on you or whatever, you got two choices: either take it or not. You know what I mean? So I have always kind of felt that the opportunity to top out in sales is non-existent. Where in the line of work that I'm doing, notice probably not like this in all trucking, then that top out space exists. But as long as the top out space allows me to still live a good life,
Right.
and it does offer some degree of stability. Trucking, what I'm doing now, offers more stability than the sales. You know what I'm saying? Because the sales, I had to get up and go out there and make it happen every day. And trucking, I got to do that as well. But if I got a contract to deliver chips right now, I know I'm good till April or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
it is pros and cons to it.
I see. I see. Now, what is the funniest trucking story that you have? Like, what's the funniest thing you've seen on the road, or just related to trucking, just in general? What's the funniest story that you personally witnessed or
I think
you
the
had?
I think the funniest story that I got in trucking, man. I'm coming down 64 one day through Williamsburg, and I passed the motorcycle cop in the median strip. He in the middle of the interstate, right? 4-lane highway, 4 lanes on this side, 4 lanes on this side. Nice big median in the middle, right? And I passed the cop. And I don't know if you do this, but I do this. I guess it's hardwired in my DNA. Whenever I pass a cop, I'm looking in the mirror.
Right.
And I never speed. I never speed, but I'm still looking. You get what I'm
Right. You
saying?
still looking,
I'm
right?
still looking, right? So I ride past. I got my seatbelt on. Everything is
Right.
all good, right? I'm not
Right.
speeding. I ride past him. He's in the median strip. Didn't look like he was looking at me at all. So I rolled past. I peeked out the mirror as I'm still driving. I noticed he's still sitting there. I said, "All right, we good." So I started driving again. Then maybe 5 seconds later, I looked back again just to do a triple take, and I noticed he had pulled out. I'm like, "Oh snap!" But I'm far enough up the road now that I know he ain't coming to mess with me. I see him pull out, then I see him hit his lights. And I still ain't really thinking about it. I'm like, whatever, man. He ain't messing with me. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything.
Right.
Plus, there's so much distance between me and him now, right? So he's coming up. I'm in the right lane. I normally am in the right lane because I'm cruising. You know what I mean? He in the left lane. He's speeding up. He passing people, and he's getting up to me, but he's still over in the left lane. So I ain't really sweating it. And right when he gets up behind me, I notice him get over in the right lane behind me. I said, "Oh man, he messing with me. What's going on?" Now, see if you can follow this. At the same
Okay.
time, when he gets behind me, I start looking to pull off the road. But when
Okay.
I go to pull off the road or look to pull off the road, I'm right by an exit ramp, right? An exit ramp and an entrance ramp. You know how they come in on the
Right. Right.
side, right?
The other
There's an
side.
entrance
Right.
ramp and an exit ramp. So
Hmm.
I'm waiting to get over in the right lane so I can pull over, but I got to be careful of the traffic that's getting on and getting off,
Anything
right?
else?
So I'm looking behind me in this mirror on the driver's mirror to keep my eyes on him. And I'm also looking in the right mirror to make sure I got lane clearance, make sure I got traffic clearance, so at least I can pull off the shoulder of the road. And of course, I'm looking ahead of me as well. So doing all of that, I finally get over to the shoulder. I pull off. I'm stopped. I'm sitting there. I'm like, damn, man, what's going on, man? What is this dude stopping me for? So I'm sitting there. I pull out my wallet, pull out my registration, all that good stuff. I lay it on the dashboard. I'm waiting for him. And I don't know what happened. I got lost or whatever in my thoughts, and I started doodling on my phone, right? So 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by. And I got to think, I forgot. I was sitting on the side of the road waiting for the cop to come to the truck. I said, yo, what happened? Look in the rearview mirror, and I don't see him back there. But I'm assuming because he's on a motorcycle, he's just behind the truck. No
Right.
problem. I look at my phone. I keep messing with my phone for about another 5 to 7 minutes. And I said, hold on, where is this dude at?
Yeah.
Now, you ain't supposed to get out of the truck when you get stopped.
No, you
I
don't
get
want
out of the truck. I walk to the back of the truck. Ain't no cop back there, bro. Obviously, whoever he got behind and he was trying to stop was getting off of the interstate. And during that, trying to look back and forth at both mirrors, I missed him. He obviously went right by me on the right side. I
right.
sat there for 20 minutes on the shoulder waiting for him to come, up to the truck. He never came. And after that, I laughed so hard. I sat there for about another 20 minutes just laughing at myself on the side of the road, man. That's probably one of the funniest things I think that I've had happen on the road. But that was hilarious. Getting stopped by the cop that ain't there.
Man, that is funny, man. Like, and that's funny. You give the story, and he's like, "Hey, when I pass a car, even if I'm not speeding, I have my seat. I still, and I think we all do that, right? Just check the rear view, like But that's funny because I never thought about it. But the perspective you driving, you have the trailer behind you, and you're trying to, get over safely. And then you're like, okay, the cop, okay, well, and then I didn't think about it because I'm like, how did he didn't see him if he's driving a car? And then you're like, no, he's on a motorcycle. So you're like, okay, he has a small motorcycle, so he's behind the trailer. And then, like you're saying, I'm not trying to get out this car, so I'm in the truck. I'm gonna wait on him. But then you're on the phone and you're like, so I can only imagine you pulling over and the cop is gone down the street somewhere. Like, I didn't want you, like
I know he know what happened. I know he was probably laughing his butt off like that trucker think I was stopping him. He probably was cracking up as well, man.
that's probably true. That's what I was gonna ask you. Did you think he was gonna? Did you think that he thought that you was pulling over for him? But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
he did. But man, that's hilarious. So were you late on your load?
Nah. Because when I was at that place, it wasn't a time thing. It
Okay.
wasn't. I ain't had no time to be there.
Now tell me this: what is essential for you while you're driving? Like, I've heard drivers say, "Listen, I need this coffee. I need this Blue Tiger headset." Everybody has this thing that they need on the road, while they're driving to keep them sane. So what is that thing for you?
I think I got two.
Okay, yeah.
But you
That's
just
fine.
you just gave me one just now. Coffee.
Coffee? Okay.
Coffee.
What kind
Goddamn
of
right.
coffee?
Just regular house 7-Eleven coffee.
Just whatever. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
just regular house 7-Eleven coffee. And I know Starbucks stuff.
Right. Right.
Yeah, just regular house
Just
7-Eleven
regular.
coffee, man.
Okay.
And my phone, my
Your
smartphone.
phone. Just phone.
And my phone, man. That's it, man. As long as I got my phone in the truck, a cup of coffee is good too. I can learn something. I can throw on some YouTube. I can throw on a podcast. You know what I mean? That's the main thing for me right there. It ain't even about talking on the phone. Of course, I need to make a phone call every blue moon.
Right.
But I actually hate talking on the phone in the truck because I'm always in a bad area. They can't hear me. I can't hear them. And I hate talking on the phone in the truck. But yeah, man, just being able to have access to my learning library and a cup of coffee, man, I'm good with that right there. I'm straight.
Right. I'm interested. What podcast do you listen to keep you motivated or just calm your mind while you're on the road?
Yeah.
What
No,
are your
no
favorite podcasts?
I can't really think of one by name,
Right.
but most of the podcasts that I'm listening to have something to do with marketing, have
Right.
something to do with business, have something to do with building a YouTube channel, creating a following online, monetizing your audience. It's got something to do with that type of stuff. And when I'm not listening to something like that, I might listen to like a Breakfast Brothers podcast, just a good
Okay.
old fashioned interview, right?
Right.
Um, or I'm listening to something trucking. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of trucking stuff. Not really many trucking podcasts, but trucking YouTube videos, on I was looking at videos yesterday on how to know when my brakes are out of adjustment. You know what I mean? So I'm always looking at something, trying to learn something about how to upkeep the truck, how to maintain the truck, what to do with my money in trucking, how to find work in trucking, all of that stuff. Go grab that refrigerator for me, buddy. Yeah, those are the trucking type of content that I would look at when I'm out there.
Right. Now, I got a couple of more questions, but
That's fine.
yeah, that leads me to, I know you're looking to buy your truck. Now, what if I know your father, he's purchased his trucks before. So what advice is he giving you and saying, hey, this is what you need to look out for. This is what you need to look out for.
I was supposed to go look at a truck today, but the guy sold it. It was a 2007 T600 Kenworth.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones with the slant nose on it.
Right.
It had a twin turbo, a Cat C15 twin turbo. He was like, "Don't mess with that twin turbo."
Really?
Like,
Your father said that?
yeah, my father was
Your
like, "Don't
father
mess
said
with that
don't
twin
mess with the
turbo."
twin turbo.
Yeah, don't mess with the twin turbo, man, because he's like, it's more things on the motor that can mess up. You know what I mean? Those twin turbos normally, because they got to be in synchronization with each other. When something go wrong with one, a lot of the times you'll have something go wrong with the other one. You know what I mean? So, he's telling me what type of motors I need to be looking out for. Obviously, what type of maintenance and all of that good stuff I need to be looking at doing on the truck. Um, as far as upkeeping it, just and how to find work and how to find work. That's what I'm asking him the most questions about right now. Like, when I get this truck, how do I keep it busy? How do I keep it profitable? How do I make sure it stays working? You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of our conversation is about now.
Is there any particular truck brand that he's saying, hey, if you see this brand, no, it's not the
Nope.
brand. It's really
Nah.
how the motor is configured. Is that what he's?
He, I guess you could say that. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, because he's not really recommending a certain year.
Yeah.
He's not really saying you need to be within a certain year. Like, you just need to find a good truck. You know what I mean? And the bottom
Right.
line is, you can get a fairly new truck that could give you problems that may not have been taken care of, or you can find an older truck, 2000, 2002, that has been taken care of immaculately, that could keep you riding for another 5, 7 years without giving you no issue. So it's just like, you're not looking necessarily for a certain year. You're looking for a truck that the person has taken good care of, and he's given me some information as far as things of what to look for to tell if a truck is, little ways to be able to tell if a truck is being taken care of or not.
Manual or automatic?
Manual. For
Manual.
the
So
simple, I guess it kind of goes back to what he was saying about the C15. My pop's philosophy is simple is better. And I think a lot of truck drivers would agree with that. The simpler, the better. That's one of the reasons why he is set up in trucking the way he is. That's one of the reasons why, because people have asked me before on my YouTube channel, how come y'all don't go out of state? How come y'all don't do this? How come y'all don't do that? My pop set up the way he is right now because he loves a simple setup. So, of course, everything has pros and cons to it. The simple
right.
setup overall might not profit you as much as the complex setup, but at the end of the day, it ain't all about just making more money. It's about making more money, being able to do work that you enjoy doing, not working yourself to death, not working your truck to death. I don't want to be gone from my family all of the time. So all of that factors into it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just how much money you're making overall. So it's a lot of good information that he's giving me along those lines, though.
Man, that
I don't think I
reminds me.
answered your question, though. I don't think
Yeah,
I
you
answered your
yeah, you
question.
definitely did, because that reminds me of this business philosophy that there was a manager inside of Google that was they people inside of the company was focused on grand slam products and service. And one guy said, we don't need to try to hit these grand slams. We need to just hit these base hits. He was just like, if we hit base hit, base hit, base hit, base hit, eventually we'll get a grand slam out of one of those base hits.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is beautiful philosophy, because hey, simple to better. Because you know, a couple of years ago, I had an older car, a 99 GS 400, and I really loved the car. It was very simple. It didn't have all the electronic, and so when the car literally broke down and it was so much information on the internet, I knew how to fix. I could just Google it and somebody
Yeah.
had the problem.
Yeah.
So it makes sense what your father's saying. He's saying no twin turbo, manual, because he's basically saying, listen, we need this truck as simple as possible, but good enough proficient so we can make money. And then you're saying, hey, set the routes up as simple as possible. Yeah, we can get into all this complex logistics, moving this freight, going all over here. But it sounds like his philosophy is like base hit, base hit, base hit, base hit, and then you're gonna have a grand slam eventually. But staying profitable is
Is the
the
key.
key. And I found that to be true even when studying millionaires. They don't go after this big grand slam. They hit these base hits, consistently and just build their wealth over time. Like with Warren Buffett, I think he was over 50 or 60 when he finally made the majority of his wealth. So it wasn't he was 22 years old like the Snapchat guy. It was when he was much older. So he was focused on these base hits. So where can people find you? I mean, we know YouTube, but I want you to give out your YouTube handle so people can clearly find you. But is there any other social media platforms that you're on that people can say, hey, I want to connect with this brother?
Actually, it's not, man. I appreciate you asking me that, but actually, it's not. YouTube right now is my preferred platform, and you could just put in the helpful trucker. You can just put in the helpful trucker. It'll bring up my channel. It'll bring up my videos, and I think I got right at 150 videos on YouTube.
You do?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, on all different kinds of aspects of trucking. So I mean, you could literally put in the helpful trucker, pass CDL test, the helpful trucker, how do I do the air brake test, the helpful trucker, how do I become an owner operator, the helpful, whatever you want to put in. If I got a video for it, you put it in helpful trucker, it'll bring it up. Or you can just go straight to my channel and scan through 150 videos.
And that leads me to the last question. What made you just, and we talked about this a little earlier, but most people are just not going to take their time out because, I mean, literally, you're literally just taking your time out and you're just giving away free game. And most people, if they're giving out free game, is coming with, it's coming with an offer. But you're just giving out free game, and and the advice that you're giving, they say when you're looking for a mentor, look for somebody who's actually doing what you want to do. There's so many people online that are life coaches, and we're not even going to get into that, but they're life coaches. We'll just say that much. But you're actually a driver, driving local, operating in an owner operator fashion, contract wood chipping. I mean, you're giving out all this information in real time. This is real time information you're giving out for free. For free. Because some
Yeah.
people have a Patreon set up and say, hey, you want to ask me a question? I need $50. Why are you just giving out all this information for free?
If I can be honest with you, all that's coming.
Hmm.
All that's coming. I mean, I've been meaning to reach out to my audience to answer that question to anybody
Right,
that's in my
right,
audience wondering, okay, this guy's got some pretty good information. Why are you doing this? Right? Like, what's the gig, bro? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, man, all of that is gonna come.
right,
My mentor, as far as marketing and branding and building online, teaches the ATM strategy:
right,
audience, trust, monetization.
right,
First of all, you find an audience. Now, when I first got on YouTube, the first videos that I got on YouTube and started making were really just positivity, right?
right,
Law of attraction videos. Just kind of speaking what I wanted to do and just kind of feeling out the platform and just getting used to it, just talking what I
right,
wanted to talk about. Um, I thought about one day after I made several of those videos, and I'm like, this ain't really going nowhere. I enjoy making the videos, but it ain't really going anywhere, right? I'm like, what else can I talk about on this channel? What is it that I know that somebody else would want to know? And at that time, I just passed my CDL test and got my CDL. I said, well, I know it's probably a lot of people out here that want to know how the experience of going to CDL school works. And I know it's probably a lot of people out here that want to know how the tests work and what it's like to first get your CDL. So that first video that I made that really popped on my channel was a review of CDL school, of paid CDL school. And once I saw how YouTube responded to that video, I'm like, okay, I kept making a couple of more law of attraction videos. And I'm like, I'm gonna make some more of these trucking videos because obviously there's people out here searching for this trucking content, right? So I'm saying that to say that the first step that I'm taught is to find an audience. What is it that you know, that an individual that you know that other people are looking for? And that information is so easy to find out, right? So, but I did it through trial and error. I just kept putting out content until something that I talked about, the public responded positively to. So since then, since I found that niche, it's just been about building that audience. And the next step after you find an audience is to establish trust with that audience. And you establish trust by helping people solve their problem, not by asking them for money, not by start transacting with them and saying, all right, if you give me this, I'll give you that. Start helping people, start building trust on people that by just helping them for free with no strings attached. Like, you plant the seed first. There's so many people that feel like, yo, if you ain't giving me no money, you don't deserve my time. Well, I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm willing to earn. I'm willing to earn your trust by helping you first. And even if you don't give me your trust after I help you, it's fine. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's totally cool because, in sales I learned you don't want to do what the person expects you to do. So I'm asking a customer to buy and they say no. Every other salesperson get mad. That's the worst thing I want to do. I want to keep up the positivity because that throws them off. It's like I didn't expect them to do that. So helping people without asking for anything in return is the exact opposite of what a lot of people expect you to do. But that, to me, is how you establish trust with an individual. And once you got an audience of people that are listening to you and that trust you, now they will take your recommendations. But you can't abuse their trust and just start recommending anything to them,
Right.
knowing that they're listening to me now, so I can just abuse. No, you can't do that. As long as you, from that point, as long as you're still in the same vein of wanting to be helpful. So if I run across a helpful product that's helping me in my career, I feel obligated to share it with the people that are going on that journey with me. So that for me is what it is, that ATM strategy: audience, trust, and monetization. That's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing on my YouTube channel right now. I am in that phase what you said earlier. That's
Right.
the phase that I'm in, and I've often said that myself, man. If you can get behind an individual, a company, or a corporation that's on the rise, you'll get free stuff just from being there with them, because
Sure.
they're in the mode of building and looking for an audience, and they're willing to give away their best in order to get that attention. Whereas if you find a company that already got there, they ain't trying to give you nothing. They trying to
Right.
maintain and conserve what they already have. So that's the stage that I'm in right now on my channel, and I'm gonna be there for a while. I'm not in a rush to start selling something. I'm
Right.
not in a rush to start selling something. I want to put some more monetization in place because I feel like the opportunity is there. But I can launch something right now to an audience of 15,000, or I can continue to create the heck out of some content for the next 3 or 4 months and launch in 3 or 4 months to an audience of 25 or 30,000. You know what I mean? I'm not losing anything by waiting, as long as I'm still nurturing my audience and still taking care of the fact that they trust me, or not
Now this.
abusing the fact that they trust me.
Right. So when drivers graduate from CDL school and they say, "Hey, I want to be local." Now, my experience has been most of them, haven't. They have to go regional OTR. You know, most people, don't graduate, then they become local. I mean, you're an exception to the rule. Like, you're one person who got a CDL and you've been local, I think, your whole career.
Yep.
Do you have drivers that contact you and say, "Hey, Maurice, I just graduated"? Well, helpful trucker. "I just graduated. I'm trying to get local also. I want to be local. Can you help me? Or what do you tell me to do?" Are you getting those type of DMs?
Yeah, 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 I do. Yeah. But the thing is that everybody that I know, everybody, because that's not the popular route to take.
Right.
If you call me from California to ask me how to get a local, I can't tell you. You get what I'm saying? Because
Exactly.
it's local. You get what I'm saying? I can't tell
Right.
you. But I like. I mean, I give them. I do my best to give them stories of other people that I know and how they went about finding local work right out of CDL school. Because I ain't the only one that have done it. I know other people that have done it as well. I was just talking to a friend of mine, Parrish, the other night. He went to Shipper's Choice, same CDL school that I went to. He got out of Shipper's Choice. He went to Western Express to go OTR. He got up to New York. Something occurred, and he decided to change his mind halfway through. got the guy to drop him back off in Virginia when he came through, like halfway through the program, right?
Right.
But right now, the point that I'm leading up to is right now. Excuse me one second. Excuse me one
Yes,
second.
man.
It's long, okay? Sorry about that.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
fine.
he's working right now. He's working right now. He got a local job right up the street. Actually, he's running chips as well. He ain't running wood chips. He running mulch chips
Okay.
from a place that's right up the street from my house to the same place that I take my wood chips to, which is also right up the street from my house. So he running probably 15 miles. That's all. That's all. It's probably 10 or 12, 15 miles. He's new. He don't have no experience. He just came out of CDL school.
Wow.
I think he told me they're paying him $40 or $50 a load, and he do like 5 a day. I mean, he's making 250 a day. You know what I'm saying? And he's starting work at 7 in the morning, getting off at 4 in the evening. He's not working on the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Real simple deal. And he's getting his experience in, and he's right local. So it
Right.
can be done, but in order for you to do it, you got to be again. It goes back to
Be
resourcefulness. You
resourceful.
got to be resourceful enough to be able to go out and find that for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like OTR local companies don't come to CDL schools to recruit like
No,
OTR
they don't
companies do.
need to.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Exactly, exactly. As a new CDL driver, they ain't coming because don't nobody want you. As a new CDL driver. So if you want to make it happen, and I always say the same thing, the best thing you can do is be building your network.
This
That's
is
true
true.
if you that's true if you are looking to get on local. That's true if you're looking to get on OTR. That's true if you're looking to become an owner operator. The
Right.
best thing you can do is build your network, man. I got such a strong network of drivers around me right now, man. I can call my uncle. I can call a couple of close friends.
Mm,
This guy that's shooting me these trucks, the Kenworth that I was supposed to go see, that's a friend of mine that I met on this chip run. I let him know I'm looking for a truck. And he every time one of his people call him with a deal, he shoot it to me. He like, yo, take a look at this. I mean, I got a pretty intense group of people around me right now that I can call and ask them about upkeep of the truck, finding work, pretty much whatever I need to know about, man. They can educate me. You know what I mean? So that's critical. Building that network, having that group of people that you can go to and get information from, critical.
well, Maurice, it's been a pleasure, man. So hopefully we can have you on in the future again, because I see your channel is in an ascent, it's growing at this point. And as we was talking about with YouTube, any video you put up over time, it's just gonna gain views. So that's the beauty of that platform. So I do understand why you're saying, hey, I'm I'm hunkering down on this one platform, concentrating on it because it's going to grow over time versus a Facebook live or a Facebook session. It kind of it will gain views over time, but not like YouTube. YouTube will actually show you videos based on what you like,
Yep.
So
Yep.
all
Yep.
right, man. All right, so all right, hold on one moment. I think we've
Hmm.